Hey peoples, welcome to episode 8 of the channel. Phil/Polygoing here is your host, the man behind the curtain. And we are playing some more, we're not playing, I almost said we're playing some more Dark Souls. We're not playing some more Dark Souls. I fell into habit. Went on autopilot there for a second. But no, variety is nigh. We're playing Shadowrun Returns. And for the last couple of episodes, I've been saying I wanted to spice things up a little bit and introduce some variety because all of my content thus far has been Dark Souls related. And while I am by no means Dark Souls'd out, it's actually the primary game I've been playing these days. So there's plenty more PvP and PvE and commentary videos to come down that path. But I am playing some other stuff. And like I said, I wanted to introduce a little bit of variety on the channel. So with that, With that, Shadowrun Returns. It's the nutmeg to the Dark Souls, I don't know, cinnamon. Get it? Because we're spicing things up. And this video is going to be one part commentary, one part review, one part just swimming in a sea of nostalgia that came flooding over me when I played this game. Because it is a stellar little throwback to like the Genesis version of Shadowrun or the SNES version of Shadowrun that I played the dickens out of once upon a time. So if you dug those games, you will probably like this review and this commentary and this game. If you don't, there's a good chance you will be bored stupid unless you are just mesmerized by the sound of my voice. So with that, enjoy the nutmeg. Shadowrun Returns. Here we go. Whoa. Phil, you just told me I was going to be bored stupid because I'm not familiar with any of the prior Shadowrun games and not familiar with the pen and paper tabletop RPG. And frankly, I think you sound like an ass. Why would I stick around? That was my impression of somebody saying that. And let me talk to that quickly before those people leave if they haven't already. What I meant by that was that this is a tactical turn-based RPG that's really dialogue heavy. There's a lot of reading. It's fantastic and immersive when you're playing the game, but it makes for some pretty dry footage. So there's not a lot of edge of your seat, nail biting shit going on in the background. That's all I meant by that. Fair warning. Case in point, here's the standard character creation screen getting started. You can pick your gender, you can pick your starting race from all the different metahumans. The metahumans are sort of these mystical beings that came about during this goblinization event where all of a sudden magic returned to the world, and there was some percentage of the population that turned into trolls and orcs and dwarves and elves. And I won't get too deeply into the backstory of Shadowrun. There's tons of stuff online about that, a really fantastic wiki. I'll talk a little bit about the world though, because it is really slick, the world of Shadowrun. But like I mentioned in a prior video, this is absolutely my favorite part of, not my favorite part, but one of my favorite parts of any game is the character creation process and just letting your imagination go nuts in terms of what do I want to be, what I want to put this guy together as to take on the world of this game. So I chose an elf adept with the douchiest portrait I could find. He's got his little hipster mustache and slick back hair. I thought that was appropriate for the Seattle of the future, which is where this game takes place. And the adept is kind of a spell sword build. He's got magical abilities that augment his melee capabilities. So I thought it'd be a really fun thing to play as my first time through the game, up close and personal, find some cool swords and things like that. And immediately during this process, I was hit by the impact from this nostalgic neutron bomb because all of the classic races and classes are available. You've got your street samurai, who are your warrior classes. You got your deckers, who are sort of these hackers that interact with the Matrix, and the Matrix is a much more dangerous version of the internet for all intents and purposes in the world of Shadowrun. You got shamans and mages. Really fantastic. And another thing that's really apparent is the gorgeous art. I really like the art style. I think it's really fitting for the tone of the game and the setting of the game. And things, especially the character portraits and some of the big, like that intro splash screen with the guy standing there with his mask and his shotgun, just gorgeous to look at. And immediately I'm kind of giddy remembering the way it felt to play these games as a kid. Hooray. Even as a kid, I was completely entranced by the world of Shadowrun. It was just so cool and so novel and so unique, and I think a lot of ways so ahead of its time. It's only more apparent as I revisit it now that that affinity has grown. And it's this beautiful fusion of magic and technology. And I played these games, back in the day, way before steampunk was kind of a big pop culture thing. Before a lot of the movies that do the magic technology fusion were a thing. Not a lot of games were doing it. And it's awesome. I'm gushing. But you can be the street samurai in this world who, like I said, is the warrior class of the game, right? And you can augment your body with this cyberware, which is just basically technology on your body. So you can get these cybernetic eyes that link directly to your brain and your gun so that your aim is better. And you can get these heightened reflexes through implants, and you can get this dermal plating armor that bonds to your bones, not unlike Wolverine's exoskeleton, not his exoskeleton, his real skeleton. And so you can just deck yourself out in these technologies and augment your body and run around with these, fantastic submachine guns or high-powered shotguns and just shred people that way. Just completely take technology to the extreme. Or you can go the other route and do the magic route, in which case you actually get weaker if you augment your body with some of these technologies because you're less in tune to the natural world. You're less in tune with the arcane. You can also take the smart guy route and be a decker who, like I said, is a hacker in the game and interact with the Matrix, which is one of the biggest fucking cool things about this world of Shadowrun. The Matrix is, like I said, the internet of the game, much more dangerous internet. You can hack into places and manipulate things in the real world. You can turn off security cameras or reactivate elevators in lockdown buildings. You can also access this black box information from mega corporations that you can then turn around and sell on the black market. You can fence. And it is just a brilliant coming together, again with the gushing, but I feel it was way ahead of its time. This was kind of before the internet was the juggernaut that it is today. This is before the magic technology, which is kind of a contrived idea these days. It just does it so well and so beautifully. It was also set in Seattle, which, on kind of a dumb kid note, I was going through my musical taste development phase, and so I was really into the grunge scene and Nirvana and Pearl Jam and shit like that. And so the setting of Seattle just added this other mythic layer because my favorite bands were from there, and it's like the near future and all this cool stuff is happening. So when I grow up, the reality of Shadowrun could be my world. Stupid kid. All right, so I'll try and keep the giddiness in check, but I do recommend checking out the wiki. I'll throw some links in the description for this video so you can just kind of hop right over there and check it out for yourself, maybe read through it a little bit. I don't think I'm doing it justice. I think I'm doing more just drowning in my sea of nostalgia and smiles and fond memories of childhood playing Shadowrun games, but it is pretty cool. I highly recommend you check it out. Enough gushing. Let's get down to some nuts and bolts. So if you've been paying attention to any of the video going on in the background, there is a lot of this in the game. You're running around a room interacting with items when you're not in combat, and the content, the dialogue, the story is delivered via this box on the right. And you have your standard scripted dialogue options. So when somebody tells you something, my friend just died, you usually have 3 different options to do it. You have the empathetic one, the sensitive one. Oh, I'm so sorry. My heart goes out to you. Here's something good that I can say to try and make you feel better. You have the smart ass one that's sort of, here's a quip about your friend dying. That's pretty clever. And then you have sort of the street battle hardened badass response that's sort of like, yeah, fuck your friend for dying. It's his fault. He was probably stupid. So pretty stock that way. But the writing is pretty good. The story is pretty interesting. And the game itself was created by Jordan Weissman, who was the guy that created Shadowrun. He invented the world of Shadowrun in the pen and paper game. And I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a pretty interesting aspect of the game, a pretty interesting facet, because this is an accurate representation of what Shadowrun truly is. The guy that imagined this world, he and his team made this game. So this is an authentic feel of what Shadowrun truly is. And I always think that's kind of cool. I always think that's an interesting aspect of it. But for the most part, there's a lot of reading and not a lot of content in the primary campaign either. I ran through it my first time in about 13 hours, and I've seen a lot of other reviews say they got through it in about 10, so I'm either really thorough or really slow. And actually, I'm okay with either of those things, so whatever we want to call it there. But then there's also this toolkit that users and you, as a purchaser of the game, can use to create your own content. You can make your own campaigns. You can make your own stories. And then there's a little marketplace where you can download these things and play through them. I didn't have a lot of experience. I tried a couple of them. I tried some of the popular ones that I'm not going to name by name because I'm going to talk disparagingly about them. I couldn't really get into them. They didn't have that same je ne sais quoi that the primary campaign has. And a lot of them, it's user-generated content, so like fan fiction. There's typos and there's case mismatches between like THEY apostrophe RE and THERE and THEIR and stuff like that. And it's apostrophe S and it's without the apostrophe. I just cannot abide stuff like that. I think it just makes things feel amateurish and goofy. So I didn't have a lot of success with user-generated content. Maybe down the way that'll get a lot better. But there's tons of stuff out there and you can create your own in any degree of finishedness that you choose. Get a good proofreader to do your content because the big majority of the game is red dialogue is delivered via these text boxes on the right side of the screen. So please have some good text if you're going to create mods. All right. The story is also incredibly linear. There's not a whole lot of deviation. There's a couple of side quests, but they are primarily just dalliances that take you immediately back into the main storyline. So not very open-ended, very point A to point B to point C to point D, etc., all the way through point, probably Q is the last point of the game. I think there's about Q runs that you have to go on before you complete the game. And that is something that is a little different from especially from the Genesis version, because you had this concept of Mr. Johnsons, who were sort of fixers. They gave you missions by which you could earn money, and they were agents of anonymous parties that would say, I need you to break into this corporation and retrieve this item, or I need you to hack into the matrix and retrieve this piece of information, or I need you to assassinate this person, or etc., stuff like that. There's one or two things like that in this game, but altogether not a lot of them. Very linear. It's salvaged a little bit by some variation in the classes, so there's often a lot of times there's different ways to get around the same puzzle, but at the end of the day, it's the same puzzle, and you need to get through it to get to the next point. I played through it probably about 4 times. The first 2 I had no problems with whatsoever, but granted, I was rocking a pretty hefty pair of rose-colored glasses from all my nostalgia vision. But there's enough variation to play through it maybe twice if you go through with different classes. The third one was kind of like, all right, this is feeling pretty much the same. And by the fourth one, I don't think I finished it. It was sort of like, all right, I'm Shadowrun out. I'm going to go play some more Dark Souls. In all, though, the game is pretty great. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know content-wise if it's worth $20. I actually picked it up on $20 on Steam. It's available for the PC, and I got it on the release weekend, so I've been sitting on it for a little bit. I don't know if there's enough in it to be worth $20. Yeah, there is. I played through it 4 times at about an average of 10 hours each. So that's 40 hours of content for $20. That's pretty solid. I would say yes. If you have played and liked any of the prior Shadowrun games, pick this fucking thing up. You will go absolutely gaga for it. It is wonderful. If you're interested in the world, pick it up. It's pretty cool. It plays a lot like the Temple of Elemental Evil, if you ever played that one. Like kind of I think that was from 2003. An RPG. The physics in it actually feel a lot like that too. Your characters kind of move the same way and the screen seems to scroll in the same way. Feels a lot like that. And if you're just not interested in turn-based tactical RPGs, probably stay away from this. It is a lot of, like in this going on in the background, there's a lot of these situations where you enter into a potential combat situation and you are restricted by the turn-based movement. You can't just run around freely and explore. Sometimes that gets a little bit frustrating, and if you don't have a lot of patience for that kind of thing, it will irritate the dick out of you. I guess that concludes the review portion of it. I'm not sure what other thoughts I have on it. In general, I had a great time playing this game. I can't accurately say how much of that was in response to nostalgia. I should mention the cover system. I guess there's also a cover system that didn't seem to make a whole lot of difference because difficulty-wise, there were very few battles. I think I was saying this where I felt challenged. Most of the time I felt pretty overpowered, and maybe that just had to do with me min-maxing my stats with the spell sword or some of the other characters I played through with. Didn't present a whole lot of challenge. In general, it was just a cool story, very linear, and again, to gush a little bit, just a wonderful flood of memories from playing these games as a kid. All right. So that's my first non-Dark Souls video. Let me know what you think. If you don't like this video, I guess dislike it. That'll let me know that, you know, shut the fuck up about this other stuff and just do more Dark Souls videos. Otherwise, let me know what you think. If you've played this, if you've had similar experiences, give me a shout, leave a comment, hit me up on social media, whatever's clever. And I'll see you next time. I'm not sure with something else or more back to Dark Souls. Probably back to Dark Souls because I got some other issues that I want to bring up there. So every now and again, I'll throw in these variations. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Out. Out? Really? Yeah, out.